Welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive. You know how we always get into the nitty-gritty of topics? Well, today we're taking that up a notch. Think professor mode, but without the stuffy lecture hall. We're going deep on a concept that's like the foundation for building anything these days, especially with all the cool no-code and AI tools popping up. The minimum viable product, the MVP.
Exactly, and it's fascinating how the MVP itself has evolved alongside these new tools.
Right. It's like the textbook definition is being rewritten in real time. So consider this deep dive, our crash course, a masterclass in MVP fundamentals. But we're not just going to stay theoretical here. We're getting tactical. By the end, you'll not only understand what an MVP is, but also what it does and how these no-code and AI tools fit into the whole picture.
And crucially, what an MVP is not. There's a lot of confusion out there, which leads to some pretty big mistakes.
Totally. So let's start with a pop quiz here. What's the classic definition of an MVP? I'm channeling my inner professor right now.
All right, well, the textbook answer straight from 𝐓𝐴 is achieving maximum validated learning about customers with the least effort.
Excellent. But what does that actually mean in practice? Let's break it down for those in the back row.
It's about focusing on that validated learning, not just building something minimal. You're looking for concrete evidence about what your customers really want and need.
Evidence over assumptions. I like that. But this brings up another question that I think trips people up all the time. How's an MVP different from a prototype, a market test, or a proof of concept? Aren't they all kind of doing the same thing?
That's a great question, and the distinctions are super important. Let's try to make this crystal clear. Imagine a table with 4 columns: MVP, prototype, market test, and proof of concept.
Okay, I'm visualizing the table, Professor. Walk us through each column.
So in that first column, an MVP is all about testing real-world behavior with a functional product, no matter how basic it is. It's like throwing a bare-bones version of your product into the market arena and seeing how it performs.
Got it. So it's about action, not just observation. What about prototypes? How do they fit in?
Think of prototypes as the dress rehearsal. They focus on user experience and design, helping you refine the look and feel before you even have VV, a functional product. Like a clickable mock-up of an app, for instance.
So prototypes are about getting the aesthetics and flow, right? While an MVP is about testing the core value proposition in the real world.
Precisely. And this is where it gets interesting. Sometimes people confuse an MVP with a market test.
Yes, the classic Dropbox demo video scenario. Brilliant market test, but not an MVP. Remind us why.
Because that video, while super clever, wasn't something people could actually use. It gauged interest, sure, but it didn't test actual behavior. An MVP, even a simple one, has to be functional, something people can interact with.
Okay, so it's about real interaction, not just gauging hypothetical interest.
Exactly. Now let's move to rapid hypothesis validation over in our 4th column. It's like a pre-MVP stage where you're running quick experiments to test your assumptions before you even build anything.
So like dipping your toe in the water before diving in head first?
Precisely. Think surveys, landing pages, or even just conversations with potential customers to gauge their interest and validate your problem statement.
That makes sense. And finally, we have proof of concept in the last column. What's the key difference here?
A proof of concept is all about proving technical feasibility. Imagine an AI startup testing if their algorithm can generate text accurately. That's a POC. It doesn't mean they have a market-ready product, but they've proven the tech works.
So PDC is about proving you can build it, while an MVP is about proving you should build it.
Absolutely. Understanding these distinctions is crucial for making smart decisions throughout your whole product development journey.
Right, because mistaking one for the other can send you down a rabbit hole of wasted time and resources. It's about choosing the right tool for the right job at the right stage.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Now that we've nailed down what an MVP is and is not, let's shift gears and explore what an MVP actually does for you.
Yes. Let's get into the practical benefits. I have a feeling this is where things get really interesting for our listeners.
Think of an MVP as your compass and your shield in the wild world of product development.
Okay, I like that analogy. Compass and shield. How so?
It reduces risk first and foremost, acting as a shield against those costly missteps. By testing those core assumptions early on with a minimal version, you avoid going all in on something that might totally flop in the market. It's like taking a calculated risk instead of just betting the whole farm.
Right, so you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. What about that compass aspect?
An MVP helps you navigate the whole product journey by accelerating your learning. It's like gathering intel from the front lines, allowing you to iterate and pivot based on real user feedback. Instead of guessing, you're adapting based on actual data and what users are telling you.
A continuous cycle of learning, adapting, and refining.
Exactly. And this brings us to another huge benefit. An MVP forces you to prioritize that core value. By focusing on just the essential features that address the user's most pressing need, you avoid getting bogged down in all the bells and whistles that don't really matter at this stage.
Makes sense. It's about delivering that lean, mean, value-packed experience, even if it's not feature-rich in the beginning.
Precisely. Now I know what you're thinking. This all sounds great, but isn't there a risk of launching a half-baked product?
Well, yeah. That's the question I keep coming back to. How do you find that sweet spot between minimal and awesome?
That's the art of MVP development right there. A well-executed MVP, while minimal, should still deliver a core value proposition and provide a smooth, functional user experience.
So it's not about cutting corners on quality. It's about being strategic with your prioritization.
Exactly. Think back to that Zappos example we mentioned earlier. Their MVP was literally just a simple website selling shoes. But here's the thing. The founder manually bought and shipped those shoes himself to test demand before investing in any complex inventory systems. It wasn't scalable at all, but it delivered the core value and provided crucial learning.
Right. It was scrappy, but it worked. Which leads us perfectly into a total game changer in the world of MVPs, the rise of no-code and AI.
Ah, yes. The dynamic duo that's democratizing product development and making MVPs more accessible than ever.
It's like we've gone from handcrafting MVPs to having this whole set of power tools at our disposal.
Yeah.
But before we get into specific tools and strategies,
Yeah.
Can you paint a broader picture of how no-code and AI are changing the MVP landscape?
Certainly. Think about it this way. Traditionally, building even a basic MVP required coding skills, hiring developers, setting up servers. It was a huge resource-intensive endeavor.
A significant barrier to entry for a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs.
Exactly. But no-code platforms and AI tools have completely changed the game. Now, non-technical founders can create functional, visually appealing products without writing a single line of code. It's like having a virtual team of developers at your fingertips.
It's amazing how these tools have leveled the playing field, allowing anyone with an idea to bring it to life.
Yeah.
And it's not just about accessibility, is it? There's also the speed factor.
Absolutely. No-code and AI let you build and iterate at a pace that was unimaginable before. Imagine launching a basic MVP, gathering user feedback, and making changes in a matter of days, even hours in some cases.
It's like agile development on steroids.
Yeah.
Constantly learning and adapting based on real-world data. Talk about failing fast and failing cheap.
Precisely. And that rapid iteration cycle allows you to fine-tune your product and get closer to product market fit so much faster. Instead of spending months building something nobody wants, you can validate that demand early on and pivot quickly.
Okay, I'm sold on the concept. But now I need the specifics. Give me the professor's guide to building a no-code, AI-powered MVP. What are the essential tools, and how do we use them strategically?
All right, let's equip you with the tools of the trade. But remember, the tools are just enablers. The real magic is in understanding your audience and building something that solves a real need.
Wise words. So where do we begin our no-code MVP journey?
First, you got to pick the right tools for the job. Luckily, there's a whole ecosystem of amazing platforms out there. Let's break it down into categories.
I'm all ears.
For building beautiful, responsive websites without any coding, Webflow is your go-to. It's like having a professional web designer baked right into the platform.
Perfect for those of us who aren't exactly design whizzes.
Yeah.
What about building more complex web applications?
Bubble is incredibly powerful for that. You can create anything from marketplaces and social networks to CRM systems and project management tools, all without code.
Wow, Bubble sounds like a serious powerhouse. What about mobile apps?
Glide's fantastic for turning spreadsheets into polished mobile apps, which is surprisingly versatile for MVPs. And then there's Thunkable, which gives you a drag-and-drop interface for building native mobile apps for both iOS and Android.
Okay, that covers the front-end development side of things.
Yeah.
What about AI? How do we sprinkle that magic into our MVPs?
Well, AI tools can automate workflows, personalize user experiences, and even add a touch of intelligence to your MVP. ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini can be used to build conversational interfaces, automate customer support, and even generate content.
So we're talking about chatbots, AI-powered content creation, personalized recommendations. The possibilities are pretty much endless.
Exactly. And then there are tools like Zapier and Make, which let you connect different apps and automate tasks without writing any code.
The power of automation. That's a game changer for streamlining your workflow and freeing up time to focus on the big picture. Any other AI-powered platforms we should have on our radar?
Adalo is a great AI-powered app builder that simplifies creating mobile and web apps. And then you've got specialized platforms like BotPress and Drift. specifically designed for building sophisticated chatbots.
Okay, I'm starting to feel a bit overwhelmed by all these options, but in a good way. It's exciting to see just how many tools are out there. But now I'm wondering, how do we actually PUT these tools into action? Do you have a step-by-step guide for building a no-code AI-powered MVP?
Absolutely. Think of building an MVP like conducting a scientific experiment. Step 1 is defining your hypothesis.
Okay, Professor, lay it on us.
What problem are you solving? Who is your ideal early adopter? What's the absolute smallest version of your product that delivers value? Get laser focused on the core essence of your idea.
So it's all about clarity and ruthless prioritization.
Exactly. Once you've nailed down your hypothesis, step 2 is choosing the fastest no-code tool to validate it. Don't get bogged down in complex setups. Speed is key here.
So if I'm building a web app, I might start with Webflow or Bubble. If it's a chatbot, ChatGPT's API or BotPress. And for a marketplace, maybe Glide and Airtable.
Precisely. You're matching the tool to the specific needs of your experiment. And this is where AI can really supercharge your efforts. Step 3 is to automate with AI wherever possible. Think of it as your virtual lab assistant.
Ooh, I like that. So instead of writing code, we're using AI to do the heavy lifting.
Exactly.
Wow.
Use ChatGPT's API to add AI-powered features to your MVP. Automate manual tasks with Zapier and Google Sheets. And if possible, consider a concierge MVP approach.
Hold on. Concierge MVP.
It's a brilliant tactic where you manually fulfill certain tasks in the early stages. It's like providing a white glove service to your first users. This allows you to gather invaluable feedback and observe real user behavior before investing in full automation.
That's such a clever way to personalize the experience and gather deep insights. So it's define, choose, automate. What's next?
Step 4 is where things get real. Launch quickly and start gathering data. Remember, the goal is to learn not to achieve perfection.
So we're talking about getting that MVP out there as soon as possible, even if it's rough around the edges.
Exactly. Create a landing page using Webflow or card drive traffic, using Google Ads LinkedIn, or targeted Reddit communities. The key is to start generating user data.
And of course, we need to track everything meticulously, using tools like Google Analytics and Hotjar.
Absolutely. Data is your compass in this journey. And finally, step 5 is where the real learning begins. Iterate based on feedback.
So we're looking at the data, seeing where users are dropping off, what features they're engaging with, and using that information to make our MVP even better.
Precisely. Add only high-impact features based on real user behavior. If demand is high, then you can start thinking about scaling and automation.
It's a beautiful cycle of learning, adapting, and evolving.
That's the essence of the no-code AI-powered MVP approach. And it's not just theory. We're seeing this play out in the real world with some remarkable success stories.
Okay, spill the tea. Give us some examples.
Copy.ai started as an AI-powered landing page built with GPT-3 integration. Once they validated demand, they scaled into a full-fledged SaaS platform.
Wow.
Morning Brew, the media company, began as a simple email newsletter using MailChimp and grew into a multi-million-dollar business.
Incredible.
And countless startups are using no-code and AI to disrupt industries.
These stories are seriously inspiring. They prove that you don't need a huge team or years of development time to build a successful product.
Exactly. With the right mindset, the right tools, and a willingness to experiment, you can launch, validate, and scale with incredible speed and efficiency.
So let's bring this home for our listeners. What's the one piece of advice you'd give to someone feeling overwhelmed but excited about all the possibilities?
Don't overthink it. Start small, start simple, and just get something out there. Remember, the goal of an MVP is to learn not to impress.
I love that progress over perfection. And with the power of no code and AI at our disposal, there's no excuse for inaction.
Indeed. The tools are there, the knowledge is here. Now it's up to you to take that first step and embark on your own MVP journey.
That wraps up our deep dive into the world of minimum viable products. We've covered a lot of ground, from those fundamental principles to the game-changing power of no-code and AI.
We explored those key distinctions between MVPs, prototypes, market tests, and proof of concepts.
We broke down that step-by-step process of building a no-code AI-powered MVP.
And we saw how this approach is fueling innovation and empowering entrepreneurs everywhere.
So what are you waiting for? Go forth, experiment, learn, and build something amazing. Until next time, keep diving deep.